All right, it's Mike here with the Digital Nomad. I am here with Mark Hanchett, CEO of Atlis Motors. It's an all-electric EV truck company, and they've got a website up. They've got some trucks that you can see on there. Actually, I think just one model, right, at this point in time.
Yep, the XT. Yep.
Okay, the XT, but it sounds to me that you're going to have a whole different bunch of configurations with a cab chassis potential on this vehicle. Is that right?
Correct. We will have different configurations based on payload, based on range, and then use cases. So if you're looking for something that's more of a chassis cab model where maybe you want to put a flatbed on it, you want to put a tool bed on it, something along those lines, that is absolutely an option that we want to be able to provide for you.
Yeah, because there's nobody that I even see out there in the market right now that has specifically mentioned that they're going to have a cab chassis available. And I see that they're very popular, at least just from looking around, driving around myself. It seems like a big section of the market that has not been tapped at this point in time with EVs.
Correct. When you're looking at maybe organizations such as utility companies, construction, trades jobs, mining companies, there's a whole sort of kind of work-centric market there, as well as some of the consumers that love those, where they have very specific applications that they use their vehicle for, and they need tools or they need a very specific kind of configuration on the bed. We want to be able to provide that, and that's why we avoided, the what you've seen today from maybe some of the competitors, which is essentially a unibody construction in the vehicle. It's possible to do a unibody in a chassis cab configuration, but a little difficult.
Has anyone ever seen a unibody cabin chassis? I can't think of one.
I'd have to Google it maybe, and someone's probably designed something for it. But no, it hasn't. Not that I'm aware of. It hasn't been done yet.
Yeah, because I see that the heavy trucks. I think in terms of if you're concerned about EVs from an environmental standpoint, I feel like they're more of the polluters than your typical light duty truck, right? That is more subject to emission standards. Is that right, or are there other? Do you know about that? I'm just not familiar.
Off the top of my head, I don't have numbers and things like that to sort of point to. I would say that the heavier duty trucks have the largest amount to benefit from going to electric, okay, from a pollution standpoint, but also from an efficiency and capability standpoint. Greater torque, greater possibilities in what we can actually do with that technology, which is very interesting to me. I mean, we could power a welder off the truck, which I think is very interesting. We could power a few welders off the truck.
So it'll be used as a stationary power source in those cases, right?
Correct. Yeah. So with electrification, you don't have to run the engine, which means it's going to be quiet. That's fantastic.
You don't potentially breathe in carbon monoxide. That's like me. I notice that stuff right away, especially in the colder weather. It seems like the engines don't run as clean as they do in the warmer weather. And wow.
Correct. So I've worked some jobs when I was younger, right, where you see some of the trucks, they drive in the building, when they're hauling equipment and stuff like that, maybe on a job site, some of these larger construction projects. And you think about scenarios like that where maybe you want to run power from the vehicle from inside. Maybe it's an enclosed space. Maybe you're in an area where noise is a large issue, right? Higher density areas where you're doing construction. If you think about those scenarios and not running an engine to power something like a welder, or power something like your whatever the construction tools are. If you think about landscaping, wood chippers, right? We could power an electric motor-driven wood chipper right from the truck. That would be amazing in itself.
Yeah, and well, those are pretty loud. Is most of that noise though from the rotating blades, the wood chippers? I don't even know.
It is, but you've also, you have a lot of noise too, right, from that little engine, right, that's driving that. And anytime we can reduce noise and make it more comfortable, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and that may even spur on the new era for tools like that, where they would want to design a tool for those other parts besides the engine that are allowed to become quieter and just be a more pleasant environment for everybody to be in, I think.
Right, and that's kind of one of the things that I find the most exciting. And by building a vehicle that has that versatility with like a chassis cab setup, right, or the power takeoffs and 110, 220 volt separate circuits, front and rear, right, so we can power lots of different things at the same time. Right. That's what gets me excited.
Yeah, so that's the new power takeoff, I guess. It's not a spinning drive shaft, right?
Right. It's not a spinning drive shaft or hydraulic takeoff. It's plug it in and go.
Yeah, and just have lots of power. So it sounds like, for this cab chassis, of course, to enable someone to put a large, heavy truck body on, you're going to have some really big battery packs along with that, right? Is that correct?
Correct. So we have our largest pack right now is 250 kilowatt hours.
Hmm.
Obviously, if you move to a larger vehicle, maybe it's a longer chassis for very specific applications, particularly when you move up to like class 4, 5, and 6 vehicles, we
Right.
can obviously accommodate even larger battery packs at that point. But the largest standard one that we're looking to launch right now is 250 kilowatt hours.
All right. And is that one, is that a double stack battery?
Technically, yeah, there's I guess you would call it like 2 rows
Right.
of cells inside there. Yes.
Okay. All right. And for cab and chassis, since obviously that's something that I'm interested in, how long into the future does someone need to wait to get one of your vehicles where they can throw a truck body on it like that and use it for some, work on a job site?
So currently, just based on reservations that we have today and the current schedules, barring no more delays, right, and sort of development, you're looking at probably sometime late 2021 to early 2022, just based on how much we can produce, how much interest we have today, and what's realistic to really deliver those vehicles.
Okay. And in that time frame, since I'm kind of hyper focused on this, doing my own long distance towing on the limited network there is right now, is there going to be like an Atlis network to charge these big battery packs, or some other generic network you can plug into? I mean, that is what I see as a big limitation, like in 2019 right now anyway.
Yeah. So, and that's a relevant question, right? That today the network is growing, but it's still very fragmented. It's still also destination specific. So as you found out when you're towing your Model X, you got to unhook the trailer, you got to park it. That's a non-starter.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you will be able to use any standard CCS 1.0 and 2.0 system that's out there. So like Electrify America, EVgo, and ChargePoint. But then the charge times will be very slow because the power output, even at 350 kilowatts, is still rather low for a 250 kilowatt hour pack.
Okay.
So we are developing an Atlis charging solution, and we'll be deploying a network out there where you'll be able to charge that pack in 15 minutes. That to us is very important, and our focus is really going to be on where those early customers are and then highway corridors.
Okay.
And we're developing a unique solution centered around, if we can just drop something in that has its own backup power supply, we can very quickly integrate with the electric infrastructure and deploy those things for far cheaper than what's required today. That's what we'd like to do, and that's our plan.
Okay. Well, you mentioned 350 kilowatt. You said that's slow.
That's too low. It's everyone thinks that's fast and that's huge today because Tesla's version 3 is 250. Electrify America is 350, and I think ChargePoint has a 350 and some other stuff. Even 800 kilowatts, I think, is too low. We are definitely thinking long term. When we plan this stuff out, I don't think about what's relevant today and tomorrow.
Okay.
I try to think about what's going to be relevant in 10 years.
Right.
And if we're going to spend, $500 billion in building out infrastructure, let's only spend that once.
Yeah.
Let's not spend that twice.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense to me because I do almost all exclusive Tesla supercharging charging. I do. I don't even have a home charger, but I'm different. I do a lot of long distance travel, so that just kind of matches with my schedule. And I'm sure you're aware the average EV driver today in 2019 does not need any supercharging network or anything for that matter, because in almost all cases they're just driving to work and back.
Right.
Might make the occasional long distance trip, but they may have another vehicle, or they might want to fly or get an Uber. So it's not even critical. But for work trucks, for these cab and chassis, I have a landscape business. I've worked in jobs that require trucks outdoors and towing. A lot of times you just need you're all of a sudden you need to fill up with your gas, or in this case your electric, and you've got to find a place. You got to be able to do it quickly. So that I see as much more important, actually. So I'm glad to hear that you're developing your own Atlis network, and even faster, because every minute counts. If you're out there on the job site, you're sitting around waiting, oh,
That's money lost.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that is definitely something that has to be addressed with work vehicles, and especially the cab chassis vehicles. So I'm glad to hear.
Right. I think one of the most precious things we have in the world is time. And I think time is wasted sitting still. So that's why we're focused on, trying to solve that problem. I don't think what exists today is acceptable. Having done long distance trips too, I can tell you it's painful.
Yeah.
So let's take that most precious thing that we have, which is time, and let's get some of that back.
Yeah, I agree. I've been trying to fill up the time, even with my vehicle now. Like, just here we are in 2019, depending on when someone's watching this. I'm limited to the 90 kilowatts that Tesla has throttled me back to, because I use so many cycles on the pack. Now, with these trucks that you have, do you envision that will ever have to happen as well? That there'll be a limit to how many rapid charges it can take?
Obviously, battery degradation is something you have to plan for when you're developing the vehicle. We aim for consistency. So for the life of that vehicle, while you have it, our goal or our intention is consistency, which means from day one to the last day that you have it, it is a consistent performance, consistent relationship. Now, people are going to scream about that. They're going to say, "How are you doing that? That's impossible." Plan for that from day one. That's what I'm going to say. Plan for it from day one. Plan for it in the design. Take that into consideration, and go with that.
Right.
And that's our approach. It's much more important for the customer or the user to have a consistent
yeah,
experience with that vehicle throughout the life of that vehicle, and that's what we aim to deliver.
I agree. I mean, because I can tell you, like I said, I'm throttled back to 90 kilowatts maximum on my pack for the rest of the life of it. And Tesla can talk all day about how fast their charging is, but if you're using it just one too many times, and it was within the first probably 6 months that I got hit with that, then from now on I'm stuck at 90 kilowatts. So,
and that's a long time to wait, right, to fill that up.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much for the discussions here about the work vehicles. Oh, and one other thing I want to ask you about in relation to cab chassis is your overall plan and thinking, like, since from day one, is it more focused? Because I know there seem to be two segments of trucks: lifestyle trucks and work trucks. Is it focused on one or the other, or both?
So we're very focused on work as a function, as a purpose for that vehicle, but we also understand that when people see what that truck can do, that drives kind of a lifestyle sort of interest and requirement from that. But we're very much so focused on work. We're focused on fleets. We're focused on individuals that use their trucks. You don't have to be in a trades business or have to actually use it every day. So when we think work, typically we think construction, agriculture, right? Utilities, we think typical things.
Right.
But also customers like yourself that are towing a trailer. Maybe you tow the boat to the lake on the weekend, or if you're an avid RV camper and you got a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, we want to build the vehicle that makes it practical for you to do that still today with electrification.
Okay, perfect. I'm excited because like I said, I'm stuck in the space right now where I'm long distance towing with my vehicle, and like you said, I'm doing things that most people would find unacceptable, unhooking trailers, waiting forever, and that's just the reality.
That is unacceptable.
I can't. There's no drive-through chargers. I mean, I have
exactly. Yeah.
So it is what it is for right now. But I look forward to the day in the very near future when we can get some of your vehicles on the road, and that'll be a thing of the past.
Yeah, we do too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.